preach without Christ. I cannot live even 5 minutes without lusting and hating and being bitter without Christ. Some of us may think, well, I've lived a pretty good life till now. Well, you got to go a long way, brother, before you get victory over your sins. You'll have secret sins that you never get victory over, which you can conveniently hide from other people and pretend that you're an overcomer. But you know in your life you're defeated in your thoughts. And the reason is you have not come to a 0 point. When you get victory over sin, let me tell you, even your health will become better. Doctors will tell you that disease, that if you're worried in your mind, that can give you ulcers in your stomach. Is there a connection between mind and stomach? There is. Even a doctor will tell you that. That if you've got a bitterness and an unforgiving spirit against somebody, you can get arthritis, you can get migraine, you can get asthma, all these things. There's a connection between bitterness and asthma. The doctor will tell you that. Unforgiving spirit can cause sicknesses in your body. It happened to me. Many, many years ago, before I got married, I remember I had to go to a hospital for a little minor surgery. But in order to do that, they put me under anesthesia, general anesthesia. Well, it was a small little thing, it was over and I came out. But a few days later, I found a severe pain down my hand, a very nerve type of pain. It just didn't seem to go, day and night. So I consulted a top neurosurgeon. I said, what do you think is the cause of this? And I told him I had been through a little surgery. He said, it's not the surgery, but during general anesthesia, when they lifted you from the table and put you on the bed or something, your neck may have twisted in some way, because you were in anesthesia, you didn't feel any pain. If you were awake, you would have done something about it, but twisted in some way, and something that happened here to that nerve or whatever it is. And he says, it really can't be cured. You just got to live with it. I became so bitter against that doctor. I was born again, but I had no understanding of victory. And I really wrote him a stinker of a letter. He was a believer. And some of you think Brother Zac had victory from day one. No, I didn't. I was more defeated than you. But this didn't get any better. Till the Lord one day said to me, forgive him. And you know, the worst part of it is I was going to get married in a few months. I said, Lord, I wrote to this doctor. I said, is this the wedding gift you're giving me? This pain in my hand. You know, you can write some really strong letters when you're not a Christian, when you don't behave like a Christian. And the Lord said to me one day, forgive him. He didn't even do it deliberately. Even if he did it deliberately, you must forgive him. I said, Lord, I forgive him. Doctors make mistakes. I was healed instantly. Never had a pain. More than 43 years. No pill, no injection, no surgery could have healed it. Forgiveness healed it. Do you have some sickness? Try forgiving people. Stop criticizing those people of other religions and other denominations. You may get healed. Forgive those people who did a lot of wrong to you and who speak evil about you. You may get healed. Those are God's ways. We need to understand God's ways. Many years later, again, a doctor made a mistake with me. But this time I had learned my lesson. Forgiveness was instant. No problem. I could love the person, forgive him, even if I had to live with that problem all my life. It doesn't make any difference. Have you ever faced a situation where a doctor gave you the wrong medicine or treated you wrong or did some mistake in the surgery and because of that you're suffering? I want to ask you, do you love God? Well, then do you believe that God makes everything work for your good, even the mistakes that doctors make or the mistake that somebody else makes? Maybe you suffered because of somebody else's mistake in some way. I don't know what. It could be a legal document or something was done wrong and because of that you're suffering. If you love God and you're called according to His purpose, it doesn't matter what another person does to you. It will work for your good and make you Christ-like. But if you react in bitterness and unforgiveness, you'll become more like the devil, that's all. That's your choice. I decided years ago I want to be more like Jesus. I've had enough years living like the devil. I don't want that anymore. I want to be more like Jesus. I'm just telling you, God's ways are forgive. Many of our prayers are not answered because we don't forgive. Many of our prayers are not answered because we blame somebody else. All the problem in my home is because of my wife. Brother, you can keep saying that. You will not understand ABC of the new covenant. Learn to forgive. Learn to take the blame upon yourself. What is the difference between Adam and Christ? The Old Testament is the history of people who followed Adam. The New Testament is the history of people who followed Jesus. I see this one big difference among many other differences. Adam committed a sin. He opened his mouth and ate that fruit, and he blamed his wife. He couldn't take the blame for his own sin. Those are the followers of Adam. They blame others. Always. Look what that person did. Look what the other person did. Look how this person treated me. Look what this person is saying about me. It's all false. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the other thing. Of course, I'm holy. I'm pure. That's Adam. How is it with Jesus? When he hung on the cross, he took the blame 100% for other people's sins. He never sinned. He took the blame for other people's sins. That is new covenant. There was a great saint of God many years ago in Europe called Henry Suso. And just to help you get rid of your prejudice, he was a Roman Catholic. He was a godly man, more godly than many Protestants and charismatics and everybody else. He was a man he was a single man, and he wanted to be like Jesus. He prayed, Lord, make me like you. And he prayed more passionately than many CFC believers to want to be like Jesus. He was living in a street, in one little house, in an open street where house after house after house next to each other. One day a woman came with a baby in her arms and knocked at the door. And Henry Suso opened it. He had never seen this woman in his life. And she shouted out, "Here is the fruit of your sin," and dumped the baby into his hands and went away. You know, she was some prostitute who wanted to get rid of her baby and thought the best person to dump it on is this saintly man who lives on that road. He will not complain. But everybody in the street heard it. And they said, aha, now we know what this chap has been doing in secret, giving us the impression that he's a very holy man and all that, and this is what he's doing. He was shattered. His reputation was gone in a moment. He took that baby and knelt down in his room and said, Lord, you know the truth. I don't even know who this woman is. I've never seen her in my life. What shall I do? And listen to the word of Jesus. Do what I did. Suffer for the sins of others. What a word. Suffer for the sins of others? By the way, that's a PhD class. Those in second standard, third standard won't understand it. Don't worry, you won't be tempted like that. You don't get such tough question papers in second standard and third standard. When you get to PhD level, you'll get those things. So don't be afraid that that'll happen to you next week. But I tell you, if you want to get to the PhD level, this is part of the price you may have to pay. Where you get blamed for what somebody else did, and the Lord says, shut your mouth. He was blamed on the cross for other people's sins, and he shut his mouth. He took it. That's the highest, almost the highest level of becoming like Jesus. Most people don't want to get there because they're always justifying themselves. No, I didn't do that, and this, that, and the other. Jesus said about the Pharisees, you are those who justify yourselves before men. But that is an abomination before God. Read that in Luke 16:15. To justify yourself before men is an abomination to God. That's because you want to prove that you're a holy person when you yourself know you're such a rotten old sinner inside. Well, he brought up that baby as if it was the fruit of his sin, brought up that child, and many years later, that woman got convicted of her sin and came into that same street and proclaimed to everybody, I had told a lie. That's not his child. But God had accomplished in Suso what he wanted. In those years, he had made him like Jesus. And that had been his prayer before the woman came to his door. Oh Lord, make me like Jesus. So when you start praying that prayer, be careful. Do you really want to be like Jesus? Do you really want to take the blame for the sins of others? Be careful what you're praying. What you mean is, I want to walk on the water and I want to feed the 5,000 with 5 loaves and those type of things. No. You want his ministry, but you don't want his life. But you don't realize the ministry comes out of the life in the New Testament. In the Old Testament, you could have ministry without life, like Samson. The guy could live in adultery and have a fantastic ministry. Not a ministry of changing souls, but a ministry of killing lions and Philistines. I don't want to kill lions and Philistines in any case. I want to change souls. Jesus didn't come to kill lions and Philistines. And if you want the ministry of killing, doing external things, you can be like Old Testament people. But Jesus had the ministry of changing people. And for that we have to suffer.